I was sitting at my kitchen table in Atlanta, sipping lukewarm coffee, when my phone buzzed. At first, I thought it was just one of those group messages my church ladies sent every morning. But when I looked down, I froze. The message wasn't meant for me. It was from my daughter, Jasmine. She had accidentally sent me a text meant for her husband, Marcus. And what she wrote about me shattered something deep inside me. Baby, I swear my mama is so bitter and jealous. She doesn't want me to be happy. Sometimes I wish she'd just disappear so we could live our life without her drama. I can't stand her anymore. My hand shook so hard the coffee cup slipped, spilling across the table. I stared at the words again, my chest tightening. My daughter, the same little girl I raised on my own after her father walked out, the same child I worked 3 jobs for, the same woman whose wedding I paid half of, was talking about me like I was her enemy. It felt like betrayal cutting from the inside. But before I could even catch my breath, another message buzzed through. And don't worry, Marcus. I'll make sure she doesn't ruin us. I've got a plan to handle her once and for all. My vision blurred. A plan? To handle me? Family betrayal hurts worse than any knife. I felt like my own blood had turned poisonous. And right there, in the stillness of my kitchen, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront her that night. I wouldn't cry and beg her to love me. No. I would leave. And I would leave with a plan she could never imagine. If you've ever been betrayed by your own child, your spouse, or someone you trusted, you'll understand exactly what I felt in that moment. Don't click away. This story is about betrayal, revenge, and a kind of justice you won't see coming. I didn't sleep that night. I packed one small suitcase while Jasmine and Marcus slept in their fancy townhouse across the city, believing I was still their supportive mother. By dawn, I had already checked into a cheap motel on the south side, hidden under another name. But the truth is, when I left that morning, it wasn't just to escape. It was to set things in motion. Because if Jasmine and her husband thought they could play me, they didn't know me at all. The first call I made was to someone I hadn't spoken to in 10 years. My ex-husband, Robert. The man who had betrayed me long ago. He answered the phone groggy, surprised, maybe even nervous. Monica? Why you calling me after all these years? I took a deep breath. Because, Robert, it's time to remind our daughter who she's dealing with. And I need your help. There was silence on the line. Then a slow, dangerous laugh. After everything, you finally need me? Oh, this is about to get real interesting. I tightened my grip on the phone. Oh, it will. Jasmine thinks she's grown. But I'm about to teach her, and her cheating husband, that betrayal runs both ways. And that was how it all started. Stay with me, because what happened next turned into a storm of secrets, cheating, lies, and a revenge plan that ripped through my family and shook the whole neighborhood. But for now, I'll leave you with this. By the end of that week, Jasmine and Marcus's perfect marriage wasn't just in danger. It was about to explode. To find out how, make sure you don't miss the next chapter, because what I discovered about Marcus the very next night nearly broke me, but it gave me the weapon I needed to fight back. I didn't go to work the next day. I couldn't. My head was spinning too fast, my stomach twisted in knots. My daughter's words replayed in my mind like a broken record. I wish she'd just disappear. I've got a plan to handle her once and for all. Those weren't the words of a daughter who loved her mother. They were the words of someone who saw me as an obstacle, a burden. But that wasn't even the part that cut deepest. What burned was that she had said it to Marcus, her husband. The same man who once sat in my living room, calling me Ma, saying how grateful he was that I raised such a strong woman. That morning, as I sat in the dingy motel room, I made a vow. If Jasmine had chosen her husband over me, then I was going to peel back every mask that man wore until she saw him for who he really was. And it didn't take long. Around 6 p.m., I parked across the street from their townhouse. I stayed low in the car watching. Jasmine's black Range Rover wasn't in the driveway. She was probably still at her job downtown. But Marcus's silver Dodge Charger was parked right out front. At 6:45, the door opened. Marcus stepped out. He was dressed sharp, black button-down, gold chain, cologne strong enough that I could smell it from across the street. He looked around like a man who didn't want to be seen. Then he got into his car and pulled off. I followed. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would break through my ribs. I wasn't a spy, I wasn't trained for this. But I wasn't about to let this man outsmart me. He drove 20 minutes across Atlanta, into Buckhead, where the lights glowed brighter and the restaurants screamed money. He parked outside a lounge with tinted windows. I sat across the street, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles whitened. Minutes later, she appeared. A woman. Young, tall, curvy, dressed in a red dress that left nothing to the imagination. She walked straight to Marcus's car, opened the passenger side, and slid in like she'd done it 100 times before. My chest tightened. I had suspected, but seeing it with my own eyes, Marcus was cheating on my daughter. I snapped pictures with my phone, my hands trembling but steady enough to capture the evidence. They laughed in the car, his hand brushing her thigh, her lips brushing his cheek. For a moment, anger consumed me. I wanted to storm across the street, snatch open the door, and drag him out by his collar. But I forced myself to breathe. This wasn't about rage. This was about strategy. Because if Jasmine wanted to talk about handling me, then I was about to show her what handling really looked like. They pulled off again. I followed. This time, Marcus drove to a high-rise apartment building. They went inside together, holding hands like high school sweethearts. I sat in the car for nearly an hour, waiting, my body buzzing with fury and adrenaline. When they finally reappeared, it was close to 9:30. The woman's hair was messy, her lipstick smudged. Marcus looked smug. I had seen enough. I drove back to the motel and laid all the pictures out on the bed. Proof. Hard evidence. Marcus was unfaithful. And not just unfaithful, bold, reckless, sloppy. But as I stared at the photos, something twisted in my gut. A tiny voice whispered, what if Jasmine doesn't believe you? What if she calls you bitter, jealous, just like in that text? What if she chooses him over you? That was the fear. That was always the fear. But then I remembered my phone call with Robert the night before. My ex-husband, the man who once betrayed me, but also the man who knew how to fight dirty when it came to family wars. I dialed his number again. He answered on the first ring this time. You sound like you've been crying, he said, voice low, almost mocking. I followed Marcus tonight, I said flatly. He's cheating on Jasmine. I've got proof. A low whistle. Damn. You sure? I snapped. I just told you I've got pictures. Don't play with me, Robert. He chuckled, then his voice turned cold. So, what's the plan? I hesitated. That was the thing. I didn't have one yet. All I had was pain, anger, and a folder full of evidence. But then Robert said something that made my blood run cold. Monica, you need to be careful. If Jasmine is already plotting against you with that man, you don't know what they're capable of. Maybe they want more than just distance from you. Maybe they want your house, your money, your life insurance. I froze. Life insurance? He cleared his throat. I'm just saying, you got assets, don't you? That house in Decatur? Your retirement account? If they feel like you're in the way. I didn't let him finish. I hung up. But his words rattled around in my head all night. Jasmine and Marcus didn't just want me gone emotionally. They might actually want me gone physically. That thought kept me awake until dawn. The next morning, I made my move. I walked into Jasmine's townhouse like nothing had happened. She was in the kitchen, making coffee, dressed for work. She looked up, surprised. Mama? You didn't answer my call last night. Where were you? I forced a smile. I just needed some air, baby. Cleared my head. She gave me a tight smile back, but her eyes held something different now. Suspicion. Distance. Marcus came downstairs then, wearing a fresh suit. He froze when he saw me, just for a second, then plastered on his fake smile. Morning, Ma, he said smoothly. I smiled right back. Morning, Marcus. Inside, though, I was already sharpening my knife. Because what they didn't know was that while they were plotting to handle me, I was already holding the weapon that could destroy their marriage. and the moment to use it was coming faster than either of them realized. But just as I thought I had the upper hand, Marcus's phone lit up on the counter. And what I saw on the screen made my blood run cold all over again. A message from the same woman in the red dress. Only this time, the words weren't about love. They were about money. "Don't forget what you promised me, Marcus. I want my cut. And if your wife finds out, that's on you." My heart stopped. Marcus wasn't just cheating. He was being blackmailed. And suddenly, I realized I wasn't the only one with a plan. The phone buzzed again on the counter, and my whole body tensed. Marcus was upstairs, still getting dressed. Jasmine was humming to herself in the kitchen, pouring sugar into her coffee. Neither of them noticed me staring at his phone, screen glowing with betrayal. Another message popped up. "Don't think you can play me, Marcus. I got everything I need to blow your little world up. My silence ain't free." My breath caught. This wasn't just an affair. This woman wasn't just some fling. She had something on him. Something powerful enough that he was paying to keep her quiet. I slipped my own phone from my purse and snapped a quick picture of his screen before it dimmed. Then I stepped back, heart racing, just as Marcus strolled down the stairs with that smug look he always wore when he thought he had the world in his hands. He kissed Jasmine's cheek, grabbed his keys, and smiled at me like he hadn't just been caught red-handed the night before. "You'll have a good day now," he said, smooth as silk. I forced a smile. "You too, Marcus." But inside, I was already putting the pieces together. He was cheating. He was lying. And now, he was being blackmailed. The question was, why? That night, I parked outside the same high-rise apartment building I'd followed him to before. I waited in the shadows, camera ready. Around 8:15, he showed up. This time, he wasn't alone. The woman in red was with him, walking close, whispering in his ear. I snapped pictures of every moment. But then I did something I hadn't done before. I got out of the car. I followed them inside. My palms were sweaty, my legs shaking, but I moved like a woman with nothing left to lose. They rode the elevator up to the 12th floor. I waited a few minutes, then took the same elevator, praying nobody stopped me. When the doors opened, I stepped out into a quiet hallway. My heart pounded as I walked slowly down, listening for voices. And then I heard them. Through a slightly cracked door, Marcus's voice spilled out. "Look, baby, I told you, I'ma get you your money. Just chill. Don't mess this up for me." Her voice snapped back, sharper than a blade. "Don't mess it up for you? Boy, I got pictures, I got receipts, I got everything. If your little princess of a wife finds out, your perfect life goes down the drain. And don't think your mama-in-law won't turn this into a war. I know about her too." My stomach dropped. She knew about me? Marcus cursed under his breath. "Keep my wife out your mouth. I'ma get you what you want. Just give me time." She laughed, cold and bitter. "Time? You got until Friday. After that, I go public." I stepped back, heart slamming against my ribs. Friday. That gave me 3 days. I hurried out of the building, adrenaline rushing so hard I could barely breathe. My hands shook as I got into the car. Marcus wasn't just sleeping around. He was being extorted. And that woman, whoever she was dangerous. But here's the thing about betrayal, sometimes it hands you the very weapon you need. When I got back to the motel, I spread out all my evidence. Pictures of Marcus with her. Screenshots of the blackmail messages. Notes I had scribbled down from their conversation. Piece by piece, I was building my case. But the more I stared at it, the more another thought crept in. What if Jasmine already knows? What if my daughter wasn't blind to this? What if she was protecting him, covering for him, choosing him over me no matter what he did? That thought made my chest tighten. Because if it was true, then my daughter wasn't just betraying me. She was betraying herself. The next morning, I decided to test her. I sat her down at her kitchen table while Marcus was gone. I smiled gently, pretending like this was just a mother-to-daughter talk. "Baby, let me ask you something," I began. "Do you ever feel like Marcus is hiding things from you?" She froze, her spoon halfway to her mouth. Then she forced a laugh. "Mama, what are you talking about?" I studied her face. The way her eyes flickered, the way her hands tightened on her spoon. She knew something. I leaned forward. "Jasmine, listen to me. I've been around long enough to know when a man is lying. Don't let him drag you down with his secrets." She slammed the spoon down, her face hard. "Mama, stop. You always think you know best. You don't. Marcus loves me. He's my husband. And whatever problems we have are none of your business." Her voice shook. She was defending him, but she was also scared. I sat back slowly, my suspicion confirmed. She knew. And that meant one thing: if Marcus went down, Jasmine was going down with him. I left her house without another word, my chest heavy, my mind racing. That evening, Robert called me. "So? You find out what the boy's hiding?" he asked. "Blackmail," I said flatly. "Some woman's got him cornered. She gave him until Friday to pay up, or she's going public." Robert whistled low. "Damn. That's messy. You gonna tell Jasmine?" I hesitated. "Not yet. Not until I know what she's hiding too." He chuckled darkly. "That's the moniker I remember. Always thinking 3 steps ahead." I clenched the phone. "This isn't a game, Robert. This is my daughter. My life." His voice dropped, cold and sharp. "Exactly. Which is why you better be ready to play dirtier than both of them. 'Cause if you don't, they'll bury you." His words echoed in my head long after I hung up. By Thursday night, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove back to that high-rise. I waited until I saw Marcus slip inside again. Then, with my hood pulled low, I followed. But this time, it wasn't the woman in red who met him. It was another man. Tall. Broad-shouldered. Dressed in all black. And the way Marcus greeted him, nervous, deferential, made my skin crawl. I snapped a picture just as the man shoved Marcus against the wall, whispering something I couldn't hear. And that's when I realized, this wasn't just about cheating. This wasn't just about money. Marcus was in deep with something dangerous. Something criminal. And if I didn't act fast, my daughter wasn't just going to lose her marriage. She was going to lose everything. I hurried back to my car, heart racing, mind spiraling. But just as I opened the door, my phone buzzed. A new text message. From an unknown number. It read, "Stay out of this, Monica. Or you'll regret it." My blood turned to ice. Somebody knew I was watching. Somebody was watching me. The text message glowed on my phone like a warning from hell. "Stay out of this, Monica. Or you'll regret it." I sat frozen in the driver's seat, my fingers trembling around the phone. My heart hammered so loud it drowned out the sounds of the city around me. Whoever sent that message didn't just know my name. They knew what I was doing. I looked around the parking garage, every shadow suddenly alive, every movement a threat. Someone had eyes on me. I shoved the phone into my purse and started the car, forcing myself to drive out calmly, even though my insides screamed to floor it. If I panicked, I'd slip up. And slipping up now could mean the end. Back at the motel, I locked the door, slid the chain across, and sat on the bed staring at my evidence. Pictures of Marcus with his mistress. Screenshots of the blackmail messages. And now this new threat. The walls of betrayal were closing in on me from all sides. For years, I had been the quiet mother, the supportive one, the one who never caused trouble. But now I realized something. I was already in the middle of this war, whether I liked it or not. And if they wanted me out, they were going to have to drag me out kicking and screaming. The next morning, Jasmine called. "Mama, where are you? You didn't come home last night." Her voice was sweet on the surface, but I heard the sharpness under it. She was worried, but not for me, for what I might know. I lied. I stayed with a friend. Just needed some space. There was silence, then she said, "Mama, please don't make this harder. Marcus and I are trying, okay? You don't need to get involved in everything." My throat tightened. She was begging me to back down. She knew. She had to know. I swallowed hard. "Baby, you're my daughter. I'll always be involved. She exhaled sharply and hung up. That told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't going to help me. She wasn't going to fight for me. She had already chosen her side. So I had to fight alone. By Thursday evening, I had a plan. I called Robert. Meet me at the diner on Peachtree. Midnight. He chuckled. Midnight? What you up to, Monica? You'll see. When he arrived, he slid into the booth across from me, his eyes glinting with mischief. He always thrived in chaos. I laid out the photos, the screenshots, everything I had. His eyes widened. Damn, he muttered. Marcus ain't just cheating. He's in deep. That girl's blackmailing him for more than hush money. And that text you got? That ain't just her. That's muscle. I leaned forward. So tell me what I don't know. Robert smirked. Word on the street? Marcus been dipping his hands in business he got no place in. Loan sharking. Illegal side deals. The kind of people he's messing with? They don't play. If he don't pay, they'll collect one way or another. My stomach twisted. And Jasmine? Robert's face darkened. If he falls, he'll drag her with him. They'll take her down too. Money, house, maybe worse. I gripped the table so hard my nails dug into the wood. My daughter didn't just marry a cheater. She married a criminal. And now she was tangled in his web. Robert leaned back, his voice low. So, what you wanna do? Go to the police? I shook my head. Not yet. Police only clean up after the damage is done. I want to stop it before it hits her. Before it hits me. Robert raised an eyebrow. Oh, so now you ready to play dirty? I stared him dead in the eye. I'm not just ready. I've been ready. The next night, I made my move. I followed Marcus again, but this time I didn't just watch. I waited until he parked his car outside the high-rise and walked inside. Then I popped the lock on his charger, slipped inside, and pulled out my phone flashlight. The glove compartment held nothing but napkins and old papers. The console was stuffed with receipts. But when I checked under the driver's seat, my fingers brushed against a metal box. I dragged it out and flipped it open. Cash. Thick stacks of it. And a gun. I gasped, slamming the box shut. My hands shook as I shoved it back under the seat, wiped my prints, and slipped out of the car. Marcus wasn't just cheating and lying. He was armed, carrying around dirty money. This was bigger than I thought. I drove back to the motel, shaking, terrified, but also alive. Because now I had the kind of leverage that could destroy him. But before I could even start planning, there was a knock at my door. 3 hard knocks. I froze. Nobody knew I was here. Nobody but Robert. Slowly, I crept to the door and peered through the peephole. A man stood there. Tall. Broad. Dressed in black. The same man I had seen with Marcus. My stomach dropped. He knocked again, harder this time. Monica, he said, voice low, chilling. We need to talk. I backed away, heart slamming against my chest. How did he know where I was staying? I grabbed my purse, slid open the back window, and climbed out into the night, my breath ragged, my body trembling. I didn't stop running until I was 3 blocks away. When I finally caught my breath, I realized the truth. I wasn't safe anywhere. Not at Jasmine's. Not at the motel. Not even with Robert. They were watching me. And the moment I found that box in Marcus's car, I had crossed a line I could never step back from. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It wasn't just about infidelity or family lies. This was war. And war has casualties. The next morning, I opened my phone and scrolled through my evidence one last time. Then I made a decision. If Marcus thought he could scare me into silence, he was wrong. If Jasmine thought she could turn her back on me, she was mistaken. It was time to flip the script. I was going to make Marcus's secrets explode in his own hands. But just as I sat down to plan my next step, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a video. And when I pressed play, I nearly dropped the phone. Because the video wasn't of Marcus. It was of Jasmine, sitting at a table with the man in black, smiling, shaking his hand, as if she was in on it all along. The video looped on my phone, each second stabbing deeper into my chest. Jasmine, my daughter, sitting with that man in black, the same one who shoved Marcus against the wall, the same one who showed up at my motel door like death itself. She wasn't afraid of him. She wasn't being threatened. She was smiling, shaking his hand, like they were partners. My throat closed up. I tried to tell myself it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe she didn't know who he was. Maybe Marcus had dragged her into this. But the man leaned in, whispering something, and Jasmine nodded, sliding a folder across the table. A folder with my name on the front. The world tilted sideways. I clutched the phone so hard my fingers cramped. Tears blurred my vision, but I kept watching, kept forcing myself to see. My daughter, the same girl I had raised with my bare hands, fed when I was starving, clothed when I was cold, was plotting with a man who had threatened me. That wasn't love. That wasn't protection. That was betrayal. And in that moment, something inside me hardened. I had been betrayed by men before. By Robert. By Marcus. But betrayal by your own blood? That changes you. It turns your heart into stone. I wiped my tears and whispered to myself, if Jasmine chose war, then war she's gonna get. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat at the motel desk, scribbling notes, connecting dots, piecing together every betrayal. Marcus. The mistress. The blackmail. Jasmine. The man in black. The folder with my name. It all added up to one conclusion. They weren't just trying to push me out. They were trying to erase me. But what they didn't know was that I had lived my whole life fighting to survive. And this time, I wasn't just going to survive. I was going to win. The next morning, I called Robert. Meet me at the park, I said. No phones, no questions. He sighed. Damn, Monica. You sound like you about to start a revolution. I hung up. When he arrived, I handed him the phone with the video. He watched it twice, his eyes narrowing. Well, I'll be damned, he muttered. Your girl's in it deep. I swallowed hard. I need to know what's in that folder. If they've got something on me, I need to know before it hits. Robert smirked. Lucky for you, I still got friends who owe me favors. Give me 2 days. I grabbed his arm. 2 days is all we got. That woman gave Marcus until Friday. If she blows this wide open, we're all done. Robert's smile faded. He nodded once. All right. Then we move fast. Those 2 days stretched like years. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. Every time a car slowed outside the motel, I held my breath. But on Thursday night, Robert called. I got it, he said. His voice was grim. That folder? It's about your retirement account. Your life insurance. Everything in your name. My stomach dropped. What? They've been planning to bleed you dry, Monica. First, they make you look unstable. Then they cut you off legally. Once you're out the way, your money becomes theirs. I gripped the phone so hard I thought it would snap. Jasmine hadn't just turned her back on me. She had put a price tag on my life. I hung up without another word. That night, I stared at myself in the cracked motel mirror. My eyes were bloodshot, my face hollow. I looked like a woman already halfway buried. But then I thought about all the nights I worked doubles to keep a roof over Jasmine's head. The Christmases I skipped presents for myself so she could smile. The times I defended her against the world when no one else would. And now she wanted to erase me? No. I wasn't going to die the villain in her story. I was going to rewrite the story entirely. Friday came fast. Too fast. I knew Marcus was meeting the mistress again. He thought he was walking into a payoff. What he didn't know was that I was already there, waiting. I parked across the street from the high-rise, hood pulled low. When Marcus's Charger pulled up, I stayed still, my camera ready. He stepped out carrying a black duffel bag. Cash, no doubt. Minutes later, the mistress appeared, strutting in heels, eyes cold as glass. They met in the lobby, their voices low but sharp. "I told you," she hissed. "No more delays. You pay or I talk." Marcus shoved the bag at her. "This is it. All of it." But before she could grab it, I stepped out of the shadows, camera flashing. Both of them spun around, eyes wide. "Well, well," I said, voice steady despite the fear pounding in my chest. "Looks like I just found my proof." The mistress sneered. "Who the hell are you?" Marcus's face drained of color. "Ma, what the—" I cut him off. "Save it. You've been lying, cheating, stealing, and now you're blackmailed. And guess what? I've got every receipt." I lifted my phone, the pictures glowing on the screen. "You try to take me down, Marcus, and I'll make sure the world sees all of this. Your wife, your job, your little side deals gone." The mistress smirked. "You think you can scare me? You don't even know who I work for." Her words hit me like ice water. She wasn't just some greedy side chick. She was connected. Before I could react, she leaned in close, her perfume choking the air. "Walk away, old woman, before you end up in the ground." I held her gaze, my heart pounding. "You first." I walked out before either of them could move, my legs trembling but my head high. Back at the motel, I collapsed on the bed, shaking. I had played my hand, but had I played it too soon? My phone buzzed again. Another video. This time, Jasmine's face filled the screen. She was sitting in her living room, tears in her eyes, looking straight at the camera. "Marcus told me everything, Mama," she whispered. "And I know what you did tonight. You need to stop. Please. If you don't, they'll kill you." The screen went black. My blood froze. She wasn't warning me as a daughter. She was begging me as someone trapped in the same nightmare. But I didn't know if I could trust her anymore. Was she protecting me, or protecting herself? I couldn't breathe after that video. Jasmine's tear-streaked face burned into my mind, her trembling voice replaying over and over. "If you don't stop, they'll kill you. Kill me. Not hurt. Not ruin. Kill." I sat on the edge of the bed, the glow from the phone screen staining my hands, shaking so badly I almost dropped it. For a second, the mother in me wanted to believe her, wanted to believe Jasmine was warning me out of love, out of guilt, out of fear. But the part of me that had seen her shake hands with the man in black refused. She was too deep. The only way to know the truth was to look her in the eye. By morning, I had a plan. I drove to Jasmine's house, every nerve screaming that it was a mistake. When I knocked, she opened the door slow, like she had been expecting me. "Mama," she whispered. Her eyes were swollen, her hair messy. But her living room looked too clean, too staged, like she had swept chaos under the rug. I walked inside without asking. "We need to talk." She closed the door softly behind me. "I didn't mean for you to see that video." I spun around. "Then who was it for? Marcus? Your little business partner in black? Or were you just leaving me breadcrumbs before you buried me alive?" Her face crumpled. "Mama, please. No." My voice cracked the air. "You sat there, handing over folders with my name on them, smiling in that man's face. You weren't forced. You chose." Jasmine's hands trembled as she reached for me. "It wasn't like that. He said if I didn't help, they'd come for me too. They'd take my baby away. I was scared, Mama." Her words cut me, but I wasn't sure if it was the truth or just another performance. "You think I don't know fear?" I snapped. "You think I ain't spent my whole damn life fighting fear? And instead of standing with me, you sold me out." Tears poured down her cheeks. "I thought I could control it. I thought if I played along, I could keep you safe. But Marcus, he's worse than you know." That name made my chest tighten. "What do you mean?" Jasmine glanced at the window, lowering her voice. "Marcus isn't just cheating. He's laundering money for them. That woman, the one blackmailing him, she's connected to the same people the man in black works for. If they fall, he falls. And they want you out of the picture because your accounts are the only clean ones left. Once you're gone, your money becomes their cover. Her words hit like bricks. It wasn't just betrayal. It was business. They wanted to use me, erase me, to wash their sins clean. I stared at my daughter, heart breaking all over again. So you knew, and you still stayed quiet. She dropped to her knees in front of me. I'm begging you, Mama. Please don't fight them. Don't make yourself a target. Just disappear. Take some money and go. Live. Disappear. Like I was some stain to be scrubbed out. I bent down close, whispering in her ear. I didn't raise no coward. If you won't fight with me, Jasmine, then don't stand in my way. Because I promise you, I'm not disappearing. They are. Her eyes widened with fear, but I walked out before she could stop me. That night, Robert met me at the motel with a folder of his own. You wanted dirt? You got dirt, he said, dropping it on the bed. Bank statements. Hidden transfers. Cash deposits. All in Marcus's name. Enough to bury him if we play it right. I flipped through the papers, each one more damning than the last. My hands shook, but not from fear this time. From rage. From anticipation. We're gonna need more than this, I muttered. We need timing. We need eyes on them. And we need a way to turn Jasmine without tipping her hand. Robert raised an eyebrow. Still think she's worth saving? I hesitated. She's my blood. I need to know for sure where she stands. If she's against me, then she's no different from Marcus. Robert leaned back, exhaling smoke from a cheap cigar. Careful, Monica. That line you drawing? Once you cross it, you don't come back. I looked him dead in the eye. I crossed it the moment my daughter sold me out. 2 days later, Marcus called. Ma, we need to talk. Tonight. Neutral ground. Neutral ground? With Marcus, there was no such thing. But I agreed. He picked the spot, a dim jazz bar downtown, too loud for eavesdropping, too dark for honesty. He showed up alone, looking thinner, angrier. Why'd you do it? I asked, cutting straight through. Why drag Jasmine into your mess? He sneered. She ain't innocent. Don't let those tears fool you. She's been meeting with them behind my back too. You think she's scared of me? No, she's scared of losing what I can give her. That's all this is about. Money. Position. My heart twisted, but I kept my face stone cold. And me? Marcus smirked. You were always temporary. A placeholder until Jasmine was ready. You think she don't resent you? She told me herself, Mama's too controlling. Mama's always watching. She wants you gone more than I do. His words slithered into my chest, but I refused to let him see the wound. Instead, I smiled. Thank you, Marcus. You just gave me exactly what I needed. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I stood, pushing the chair back. Leverage. And I walked out, leaving him stewing in confusion. That night, I wrote Jasmine a letter. Not a text, not a call. A letter. Asterisk, you have one chance to tell me the truth. Meet me tomorrow. Alone. If you don't, I'll know where you stand. And you won't like what comes next. Asterisk. I slipped it under her door just before dawn. By noon, my phone buzzed. A text. Asterisk, I'll be there. But Mama. Don't bring Robert. Don't bring anyone. Asterisk. My chest tightened. Was this a trap? Or a plea? Either way, it was the moment of truth. I stood in that empty park, the wind cutting sharp through the trees, watching the horizon for my daughter's figure. When she finally appeared, walking slow, hands in her coat pockets, my heart split between hope and dread. Mama, she whispered when she reached me. I stared at her, every muscle tense. This is your chance, Jasmine. Look me in the eye and tell me, are you with them or are you with me? She opened her mouth to answer. But before the words left her lips, a black SUV screeched to a stop beside us. The door flew open. The man in black stepped out, gun in hand. The man in black stepped out like a shadow come to life, the streetlight catching the steel of his gun. My body froze, but my mind raced. Jasmine gasped beside me, hands flying to her mouth. "Mama, run!" she cried. But my feet didn't move. If I ran, I'd never stop running. If I stood, maybe, just maybe, I could flip this moment in my favor. The man raised the gun. "It's over, Monica." My voice came out steadier than I expected. "If you pull that trigger, every secret you and Marcus been hiding goes public. I got copies. Files. Pictures. You kill me, they'll bury you next." His jaw tightened. "You bluffing?" I smiled, though my chest was burning. "Try me." The wind howled through the park, tossing leaves around our feet. For a second, time stretched thin. His finger twitched on the trigger. Jasmine whimpered, her whole body trembling. Then headlights flared from the other side of the park. A car roared up, tires screeching. "Robert!" He jumped out, gun drawn, aiming straight at the man in black. "Drop it." Chaos erupted. The man in black spun toward Robert. Jasmine screamed. And I, finally, moved. I lunged forward, grabbing Jasmine by the arm, yanking her behind the park bench as shots cracked through the air. Pop, pop, pop. Sparks flew from the SUV's side mirror. The man cursed, ducking behind his door. Robert dove for cover, firing back. The air stank of gunpowder, my ears ringing from the blasts. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst. "Stay down." I hissed at Jasmine, forcing her head low. "Mama, what is happening?" she sobbed. "What's happening," I spat, "is the price of betrayal." The gunfight paused, silence, except for the ringing in my ears. Then the SUV's engine roared, tires screeching as the man in black peeled off into the night. Robert ran over, breathing hard, gun still smoking. "Damn, Monica, you sure know how to throw a family reunion." I ignored the joke, turning to Jasmine. She was pale, shaking, tears streaking her cheeks. "Look at me," I demanded. She did. "This is your last chance. Are you with me or with them?" Her lip trembled. "Mama, I swear, I never wanted this. Marcus dragged me in. I thought I could protect you. But I can't. I'm sorry." I studied her face, searching for lies. For once, I saw only fear. Only shame. Robert muttered, "We can't stay out here. Let's move before he comes back with reinforcements." We drove back to the motel in silence, tension thick enough to choke. Jasmine sat in the back seat, clutching herself like a child, while I stared out the window, mind spinning. Back in the room, Robert locked the door and started pacing. "That man don't miss twice. He'll be back. And next time, he won't care if Jasmine's standing there or not." I nodded slowly. "Then we don't wait for next time. We end it now." Jasmine blinked at me. "End it? Mama, what do you mean?" I turned to her, eyes hard. "I mean we stop Marcus. We stop the mistress. We stop all of them. Once and for all." Her breath hitched. "But how?" Robert dropped into the chair, rubbing his temples. "You can't just walk up and shoot them. You'll go to prison before you can blink." "I don't need to shoot them," I said softly. "I just need to show the right people what they've been doing." Jasmine frowned. "What people?" I pulled out Robert's folder, spreading the papers across the bed. Bank transfers, cash deposits, names, dates. The feds. The police. The ones they can't buy off. Robert whistled low. "You trying to flip this whole operation upside down?" I met his eyes. "Exactly." Jasmine wrapped her arms around herself. "And what if they come after us before then?" "They already did," I snapped. "And we're still standing. Now you gotta decide if you're standing with me, or waiting for Marcus to bury you too." She didn't answer. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at the desk, typing on Robert's beat-up laptop, compiling every scrap of evidence, every file, every picture. My fingers shook, but I kept going, building a case strong enough to break them all. By morning, I had a dossier thick enough to send anyone to prison for life. But something still gnawed at me. Marcus. He wasn't the type to sit still after a scare. He'd be moving, planning, desperate. And desperate men were dangerous. I was right. Around noon, Jasmine's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her face draining of color. "It's Marcus," she whispered. Robert grabbed the phone from her, putting it on speaker. Marcus's voice filled the room, sharp and frantic. "Jazz, where are you? Don't play with me. I know Mama's with you. You'll think you slick? You think I don't know what you're doing?" I leaned close to the phone. "Then you know it's over, Marcus." Silence. Then a bitter laugh. "Over? You ain't seen nothing yet. You think you can take me down? You don't even know the half of it." The line clicked dead. Jasmine's hands trembled. "Mama, he sounds crazy." Robert snorted. Crazy and cornered. Bad combination. I stood, pacing the room. My stomach knotted with dread, but my mind sharpened. Marcus was planning something. And if I didn't move first, he'd make sure I never got the chance. That night, I set my trap. I called Marcus from a burner phone, disguising my voice just enough. "If you want your money clean, bring the mistress to the warehouse on 5th tomorrow night. Alone." He cursed, demanded names, but eventually agreed. Desperation makes fools of men. When I hung up, Robert grinned. "You really gonna do it? You really gonna take him down?" I nodded. "This ends tomorrow." Jasmine sat in the corner, pale and silent, her eyes darting between us. "Mama, what if he doesn't come alone?" I looked at her, cold and steady. "Then he'll never leave at all." The warehouse smelled of rust and dust when we arrived the next night. Robert checked the corners, gun in hand, while I set up the camera, making sure every angle was covered. We waited. The sound of tires on gravel echoed in the dark. Headlights cut through the night, blinding. Marcus's Charger. He stepped out, the mistress at his side, both looking tense but smug. "You wanted me," Marcus called, voice echoing. "Here I am." I stepped into the light. "And here's where it ends." The mistress laughed, sharp and cruel. "You really think you can scare us with some dusty warehouse? You don't know who you're playing with." I raised my phone, the red recording light glowing. "I know enough." Marcus sneered. "You ain't got nothing on me." I pressed play. The warehouse filled with the sound of his voice. His call to Jasmine, his threats, his desperation. Every word recorded. His face twisted with rage. "You bitch!" he roared, lunging toward me. Robert moved fast, shoving him back, gun raised. "Don't try it." But it wasn't Marcus who scared me. It was the mistress. Because while we were locked on him, she reached into her purse and pulled out a gun of her own. The barrel glinted in the dim light as she pointed it straight at me. The gun gleamed like a snake's fang in the mistress's hand, steady and merciless, aimed right at my chest. Robert cursed under his breath, his own gun still trained on Marcus. "Don't." Jasmine's scream ripped through the warehouse as she stumbled forward, her hands raised. "Please, don't shoot my mother." The mistress didn't blink. "Step aside, girl. This ain't your fight." But it was. It always had been. I kept my eyes on her, my heart hammering. My voice came out calm, though my body shook. "If you pull that trigger, you'll never see another dime. I've already sent everything to the feds. All your deals, all your accounts, every dirty dollar. Kill me, and it still goes public." Her eyes narrowed, but her hand didn't waver. "You bluffing?" I tilted my phone just enough so the red recording light glowed. "Am I?" Marcus growled, sweat dripping down his face. "Put the gun down, Tanya." So that was her name, Tanya. "Shut up, Marcus," she snapped, not taking her eyes off me. "You were supposed to handle this. You promised she'd fold." He sneered. "You think I wanted this? I told you, Monica don't scare easy." That was his mistake. He'd spent his whole life underestimating me. Robert's voice sliced through the air. "Last chance, lady. Drop it or I drop you." But Tanya smiled, cold and cruel. "Then let's all go together." Her finger twitched on the trigger. "I didn't think." I moved. I dove sideways as the gun fired, the shot exploding through the warehouse like thunder. The bullet tore into the concrete wall where my head had been a second ago. Robert fired back. Marcus roared, charging at him. Chaos. Screams. Gunshots. I hit the ground hard, pain shooting through my shoulder, but adrenaline dragged me back to my feet. Jasmine was crying, frozen between us, her hands clutching her stomach like she could hold herself together. Tonya turned on Robert, firing wildly. He ducked behind a crate, wood splintering as bullets shredded it. Marcus lunged for me, fury burning in his eyes. He grabbed my arm, yanking me close. You ruined everything. I snarled back, shoving the phone in his face. No, Marcus, you did. And I smashed it against his jaw. He staggered, cursing, blood spraying from his lip. I grabbed the duffel bag he'd brought, his last stash of cash, and swung it into his chest. He stumbled back into Tonya, and for the first time, they looked less like partners and more like prey. Robert popped out from behind the crate, gun aimed dead center. Game over. But before he could fire, Jasmine screamed. Mama, behind you. I spun, too slow. The man in black was back. He'd slipped in through the side door, silent as death, another gun raised and ready. Time froze. I saw Robert aiming at Tonya. Tonya aiming at me. Marcus bleeding, lunging again. And the man in black, steady, cold, his eyes fixed on my heart. I thought that was it. But Jasmine moved. She threw herself between me and the gun. The shot rang out, echoing through the steel bones of the warehouse. Jasmine crumpled, her body folding like paper, her blood blooming across her shirt. No. The scream tore from my throat as I caught her, pulling her down. Her eyes fluttered, her lips trembling. Mama, she whispered, her hand clutching mine. Rage consumed me. I looked up, my vision red, and saw Robert finally fire. His bullet slammed into Tonya's chest. She staggered back, shock etched on her face before she collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The man in black cursed, ducking behind the SUV. Marcus panicked, bolting for the exit, but Robert's second shot clipped his leg, sending him crashing to the ground howling. I pressed my hands against Jasmine's wound, tears streaming. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. Her breath came in shallow gasps. I'm sorry, Mama. I thought I could control it. I thought I could protect you. I kissed her forehead, sobbing. You're gonna make it. You hear me? You're gonna make it. But her eyes rolled back, her body going limp in my arms. Something inside me snapped. I laid her gently on the ground, stood up, and turned to Marcus. He was crawling toward the door, blood trailing behind him, his face twisted in pain and hatred. You did this, I said, my voice low, shaking with fury. You poisoned her. You poisoned all of us. He spat blood. She chose me, not you. I picked up Tonya's dropped gun. My hands didn't shake. My eyes didn't blink. You're right, I whispered. She chose wrong. The shot echoed through the warehouse, final and absolute. Marcus slumped to the floor, motionless. The man in black cursed again, but Robert's third shot rang out, and he went down too, his body collapsing against the SUV. Silence. The warehouse reeked of blood and gunpowder, bodies sprawled across the concrete like broken dolls. Only Jasmine lay still in my arms. I rocked her gently, my tears falling onto her cold skin. My baby. My betrayal. My blood. Robert crouched beside me, his face grim. We need to move. Cops'll be here any minute. I shook my head, clutching her tighter. I'm not leaving her. He grabbed my shoulder. Monica, listen to me. You want her death to mean something? You finish what you started. You take all this evidence, and you burn their whole empire to the ground. That's how you win. I looked at him, my vision blurred by grief, but his words carved into me. He was right. I couldn't save Jasmine, but I could make damn sure nobody ever forgot her. The next morning, headlines exploded. Local businessman, mistress, and alleged crime syndicate tied to money laundering and murder. FBI investigating. Asterisk asterisk. Pictures. Names. Evidence. Everything Robert and I had gathered, sent to every paper, every station, every outlet that couldn't be bought. Marcus and Tanya were gone. The man in black was dead. And their empire crumbled in the daylight. But none of it brought Jasmine back. At her funeral, I stood alone, dressed in black, my heart a hollow cavern. People whispered, speculated, judged. But I didn't hear them. All I saw was her face. All I felt was her last breath in my hands. And as the casket lowered into the ground, I made a vow. I had taken my revenge. But the price was my daughter. And no amount of justice could ever repay that debt. I whispered to the earth, "Rest now, baby. I'll carry the war for both of us." Because revenge doesn't end when the bullets stop. It ends when the pain finally fades. And mine never would. And that's how Monica's world collapsed. Betrayal, blood, and a revenge that cost her everything. But was Jasmine really guilty, or just another victim caught in Marcus's game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.